Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to those of you who are following us on Periscope. We are the United Church of Christ in Warminster. My name is Josh, just in case you didn't know. Those of you sitting here are like, we know that already, but I'm the pastor of UCC Warminster. We're so glad you've come to be part of this worship experience with us. We are an open and affirming community of faith where all people are welcome. No matter where you are in life's journey, you're welcome in this place. Anybody else believe that this week is Thanksgiving? No, right? Until you're like, wow, I'm going to start cooking right now, right? Which means that this next Sunday, a week from today, is the first Sunday of Advent. So today I'm going to do you a favor because it goes so fast. It really does. We're going to start Advent a little early this week. We give you a little pre-Advent, a little preparation, because I think we all need that, including myself, that just happens so quickly. So today we're going to focus on light, the light of Christ. We light these candles every Sunday for a reason, to represent that light of Christ that lives when we gather together and lives in us when we leave this place. So as we begin our worship today, I invite you to find a moment in which you can focus on the light of Christ within yourself and the light of Christ you see in others and in the world.
Sing like never before.
friends, when we pass the peace together as a community, we're actually sharing the light of Christ. Because we often focus on Jesus being the light of the world, but also Jesus said that you and I, are lights in this world. So I invite you, please stand with me. And as we pass the peace, I invite you to share your light with the people around you. Wherever you are on your journey, it doesn't mean you have to be all like happy, happy, joy, joy today, because you still have light. That light lives in you. So I invite you, may the peace of Christ be with you. Share the peace with one another.
Peace. He's coming. Oh, peace, Ian. Peace. Peace, Jason. Welcome back. Peace, Talia.
Good to see you. Peace be with you, sparkly bees. They're ready.
Peace.
Peace, Jimmy.
Peace.
Peace, Jimmy.
Peace.
Logan.
Peace.
Sorry.
Peace. What? Oh, there are no donuts. Oh, that's so sad. You do? No, this is not the time. We'll see. We'll see. Go back. Go away. Go away.
Rise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of the Lord is risen upon you. And your light has come.
This is a United Church of Christ.
In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was in God's presence, and the Word was God. The Word was present to God from the beginning.
Through the Word,
All things came into being, and apart from the Word, nothing came into being.
In the Word was life, and that life was humanity's light.
a light that shines in the darkness, a light that the darkness has not overtaken. Maybe I did. So all this talk of light, you guys my head just got lightheaded. Just kidding. No, that was really bad. Sorry, pun intended. So in this time, it's sort of a check-in time for us. We do that 2 times, and a lot of times this first check-in is focused on sharing glimpses of the Spirit. And today, because those glimpses of the Spirit come in many shapes and forms, I would first like to hear from some of the people who went with me on Tuesday night. For those of you who don't know, there were some youth and some elementary students and also some adults who went to Bharatiya Hindu temple in Chaffan for a festival that marks the end of Diwali and the beginning of a festival of light in the state of Tamil, which is in South India. So I'm not putting Angela on the spot, but Angela, we went on Tuesday, and would you just be willing to share something that sort of impacted you from Tuesday?
Yes. The minute I walked into that temple, there was like statues everywhere, and it was just beautiful because they all had different patterns. And then there's like in carvings in like there's like little I want to say like rooms-ish, but they're not really like rooms because they're in this one big room. And then they have a bunch of carvings and stuff on it, and it's really cool. I liked it.
Jacqueline, did you want to say like something that sort of impacted you?
Well, I thought it was funny when they had like these things. There was this one statue on these like bars on this like platform, and there was 2 bars, and they had all the men and some women hold them on their shoulders, and they invited Josh and Malik to go up, and they made them run around the room.
Yes, we were running around the temple. That is true. That actually happened. And we couldn't video it, right? Because you can't do that in the temple. Darn, right? Yeah. That would have been on Facebook right away. Connie, anything else you want to add that really impacted you?
Well, I mean, it was nice to see, you know, any group of people that could come together and celebrate, you know, what they believe and do it joyfully and have a good time.
Yeah, they're definitely having a good time. They're like doing a little dancing and stuff. Caroline, you want to add something?
Well, one thing that I thought was really cool,
Please don't.
what was going on because it was in a different language. They had a statue and they put milk, sour cream, oranges, honey, all this different stuff on it. And even though we didn't know what was going on, it was really cool to watch and see. And then I asked my friend at school, and she said that they were putting all the different elements of the earth on it and then like cleaning it off.
For me, I saw glimpses of light, you know, in our group, you know, that went. I think the priest, I know both of the priests there, but the one who called Malik and I up, he doesn't say much to me in English, mostly in his own language. But he was really funny because he saw our group, and I could tell that he was like, wow, you guys, wow, this is a group, you know, here. And so he was really excited we were there. And I guess for me, the moment of light or the glimpse of the Spirit I saw was at the very end. We're standing in the lobby, I don't know if you remember this, Jacqueline, and the girl, I don't know if similar age or not, but she came to you and she was like talking to you and showing you something that she learned in school. And to me, those connections that we make with others is really special, because Diwali and other celebrations of other religions and other traditions are actually things that Christians are welcome to be with other people in. And I think as we approach one of our most important seasons, right, the Advent and Christmas season, I think it encouraged me to do that for other people of other faith traditions, because sometimes you'd be surprised just feeling welcomed, you know, and not having to, for example, not having to be a Christian or believe necessarily what we believe, but being welcomed into our community is such an important thing. And it makes people, especially now, right, feel like all this stuff that's going on in the world, we can do something to make an impact. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about that because when we went to Ramadan, there was a young girl that like seeked Jacqueline out to talk to her and to make her feel welcome. And the same thing, I mean, we didn't have time to really talk to anybody there, but this young girl who was sitting in front of us turned around and started talking to Jacqueline, and then throughout the service she was doing stuff, and she would make, peek over to her and kind of show her what to do, and it was kind of, that was really nice to see that especially a young person would go out of their way to make sure that somebody feels welcome.
So those were some glimpses from Tuesday. So what are some glimpses of spirit or light that you've had recently you'd like to share this morning? Yeah.
Most of you know that we're in the middle of searching for a new school for Jimmy. And, my timing is I want it now. And that's not God's timing right now. But I was asking for answers tonight in my prayer and meditation time. Both answers came in the form of 2 doors closing, but there's still 3 more schools to look at. But instead of looking at that as, oh man, it's not my timing, I really felt the Spirit's presence during my prayer time saying, it's okay, I'm closing a door, but I have the perfect place for your son to go to school.
But sometimes doors closing help.
It definitely, it helps, but it helps most of the time, but when we want it our way, it doesn't help. So I learned that it's not always my way.
It's hard things to learn. Thanks, Ben. Other things you'd like to share? Glimpses you've seen recently? Yeah.
We were going to meet Brennan for Thanksgiving, and his ride fell through, and the train and everything was like an enormous amount of money, and it would have taken him 16 hours. So anyway, I was like, what are we gonna do? And here it was cheaper for him to fly up here and then drive down with us. So he's coming in tonight. But the other good thing is that his swim coach that passed away last weekend, they're having all their services and stuff on Tuesday so Brennan can get to go. Because they were like a second family to him, so it worked out perfect on the train.
Yeah, win-win. Thanks. Yes. Cool.
When I was at one of my friends in Warminster, and we saw his bike a lot, and now I all of a sudden he's someone of my friends, and you're not being made friends, you're not being made friends.
That's good. So this kid you used to have conflict with seems like you don't anymore. Good. Thank you. Yes.
I went to the beach, Ty's friend.
You went to the beach like recently?
Yeah.
Was it cold? Sorry, keep going. Sorry. Okay.
And I got dumped by a big wave.
Nice. That's kind of a glimpse of the Spirit. I agree. You kind of wakes you up, right? I love it. Good to have you guys back too. Very good. Yes.
Sometimes you wonder if you're getting across people or not. I had an incident Tuesday night at my class, not Thursday night, at my class in Center City, where an angry woman from my class who hadn't attended a couple classes started shouting because she was totally lost, confused, and wanted immediate attention. And there were 30 other people there, so she stomped out. A few minutes later, this guy shows up at the door, one of my students, with this 8-month-old baby in his arms. And he says, she doesn't make much noise. I said, you can't bring a child into the classroom, that's policy. So he left, and I got an email from him saying, I didn't want to miss this class because I might get kicked out after so many missed classes you get kicked out in. So I just sent him a little note saying, I hope you find the child care that was missing. I want to see you back and so forth. And I got this very nice thank you. Thank you for your help, for your compassion, and so forth. So
it's good when it's recognized sometimes.
That's right.
Right. Yes.
So Caroline got her driving permit this week, which is not a glimpse of the Spirit. But the part that is that if you know me, you know I'm a control freak to the max. And so far, we're both still alive and have not killed each other. And I think it's been going pretty well. So praying that will. I hope so.
Absolutely. Yes.
When Love Thy Neighbor had helped 2 more people this week, which is a great glimpse of the Spirit because the Spirit seems to be always among us in that way. One person, Teresa, was helped, even though she was over $5,000 in debt with Pico. She seems to be finding a way out, not only with our help, but with other people's help. So it's just amazing that we can be a part of that.
Let's just take a moment, and again, this is your pre-Advent moment. So I want you to sort of give yourself time to journey towards light, to not rush into things. I know that this week is going to be busy for a lot of Thanksgiving stuff, and then all of a sudden it's Advent. So I just want to give you a moment to just pause, to think about where is light in your life. Maybe it's barely just a glimpse of light. Maybe there's a door that's cracked and you see a little bit and that's all you see right now, that's fine. Or maybe there's somebody in your life who really is helping you through something and that's a major light for you. Or maybe you're recognizing something in yourself right now that you never did that is light. Just take a moment and let's be in a spirit of prayer together and focus on where is that light in your life. God, may we recognize the light in ourselves, may we recognize the light in Christ, and may we recognize light in others. Amen.
We're going to get you guys moving again. Come on. 2 more songs. Come on. Come on.
All right, you may be seated. Thank you so much for joining us like that. More light and more truth is what we need from the Lord. And we know He will show us that. And we're looking to experience that together today.
Can I have the kids up front? Look at your sparkly blues. That might be the answer to my first question. Oh, where's Ian? All right, Ian, if you want to, we're up here. So tell me some things that make light. Give off light. The sun, fire, lightning, your boots?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Light bulb.
A screen.
A screen. Oh, like that screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you know where the light actually comes from? The projector. Exactly. Anything else? A phone. Yeah, now, back in the day, you couldn't use a phone for light. But guess what? Now you can. Back in the day, when it was attached to the wall. A lantern. An exit sign. Jimmy's really looking around the room. All right. I'm going to ask Caroline to advance the slide, and we are going to listen to a story from the Bible.
Then Pilate entered the headquarters, again summoned Jesus and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Pilate asked him, "What is truth?"
So, I want to keep talking about light for a minute. We were talking about light when you weren't here yet, Logan. Can you think of something that gives light? What makes light? Do you think people make light? In a different way, exactly. Oh, you brought a snack. Nice. All right. What'd you say? And cars. Ian's ready for any eventuality up here. Snacks, cars. All right. I agree with Jimmy that people can show light. And I want to show you a way of something you can do to remind yourself how to show light to other people. Okay? So, Angela's ready. Everybody's ready today. I want you to go like this and pretend that your hands are a candle. Can you do this, Ian? No. Okay. Yes. It's a little tricky. Oh, you're going to be a circle candle? Okay. Sounds good. Circle candles are good. All right. Now, look at your candle. Do you see your flame? Do you see your light? Okay, watch. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to show light way up high into the sky. Show our light to God. And then watch. I want you to give light to yourself. And I want you to take your light, and I want you to go this way. And blow your light into the world. Okay, ready? So we're going to do it all together. Light in, light. One more time. All right, let's say a prayer for that. God, thank you for teaching us that we can be light to you and to ourselves and to other people, and help us to remember to use those motions if we need a reminder. In your name we pray. Amen.
Wow, that was really good, Mario. I actually remember that for like meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
Really ornery and loud. I really got everybody's attention. All these girls were like, all quiet. Wow, that's pretty good. I remember that. Simple things, right? Well, I told you, right, that this week is Thanksgiving, and just in case you didn't know that, maybe you don't have a calendar and whatever. I don't know what you're going to do this week. My life, of course, is drastically different than it was even just 4 or 5 years ago, since my parents and my brother moved away. So it used to be that, you know, Thanksgiving week, I had jobs. There were tasks that I had to complete. My dad is like a traditionalist in every way, shape, and form about Thanksgiving. Plus his birthday usually coincides with Thanksgiving, depending on the year, right? And so everything has to be like how he wants it. So there's a special salad that I have to make. My mom has to make these special rolls that she always burns. It's like Thanksgiving tradition, right? That always happens. My mom makes like 3 different kinds of pies because my brother eats an entire chocolate pie by himself. No lie, he really does. And then the rest of the day he's like, oh, chocolate pie, coma, and he's like all sick. So that doesn't happen for me anymore these days. And what I've noticed is, because my Thanksgiving traditions are no longer traditions, every year I'm randomly thinking, what's going to happen? And so I was thinking a lot about that, and a lot about you, and just how this season comes upon us so quickly. Am I right? And I think because and again, I'm not going to be one of those guys that stands, in front of you preaching on a Sunday, oh, the contemporary culture is so bad and evil. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's just that we're busy, right? We're busy with lots of things. And even school and everything else sort of culminates with these holidays, and boom, there it is. So I wanted to give you a chance today to sort of have an opportunity to pause from that, not to think about even Black Friday, that shopping day after Thanksgiving. Although it is fun, it's my tradition now to go on Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, late, and watch people line up. That's like, because I live next to the mall, right? So I go to like Best Buy, I'm just like sitting there like, this is amazing. Like, this line is out the door of Best Buy. It doesn't matter how cold it is. I'm like, what are you really going to get? I don't even know. Like, maybe I should just give them an order and have them buy stuff. I don't know. But next week is Advent, and I realize this. And so I don't want to say that everybody really cares a lot about Advent, because I understand that these traditions often are misunderstood. So I want to just give you a bit of what Advent really is in our context, and what it is for people who are, as we would call, more of the traditional Christians, meaning those from Syria and other parts of the Middle East and parts of the East that observe this season much differently than we do. So for Western Christians, the season of Advent does indeed start right after Thanksgiving. It starts next Sunday. But it would be also not a stretch to say that what we do here in this country is also very different from the rest of Western Christians. If you've ever been to Europe and participated in any sort of religious traditions there, Protestant or Catholic, they look very different than what we do here. And this season is no different than that. So we shouldn't assume that during this time of Advent, Christians around the world are doing what we do. It's just not the case at all. Instead, in the East, what happens is people have already started to observe what they don't call it Advent, they call it the Nativity Fast. So typically, it depends on where you live in the East, but typically Christians will start maybe a week ago from today and depending again on the country. And they'll abstain from eating any types of meats or animal-related products. That's number one. In essence, their nativity fast is a vegan diet, so they don't do a complete fast until later. They start with this just fast from anything that's animal-related. Now, some Eastern Christians in this tradition will fast for 40 days. And you remember that number 40 is really important in the Bible, right? So it's a very spiritual number. It's just like Lent. So Advent, which they don't call them, they call it Nativity number. Nativity then for them lasts 40 days, just like Lent, and they abstain from eating meat. Now, the last fast, which is really the most important one for them, starts in the morning on December the 24th, and they don't eat anything at all, and a lot of people don't drink either. And if it's physically possible for you, right? And then they wait until there's an alignment of stars, but really it's the time of day, depending on where you are in the world, leading into December 25th. Now, the emphasis on fasting, just to clarify, because I know there's, oftentimes when we talk about these traditions, we think that fasting is just like, well, people who, can do that and not eat. And, they're just kind of like punishing themselves, right? No, but it's not really about that. Fasting isn't about depriving your body of nutrients. In fact, in all religious traditions, if you have any sort of problem with fasting, meaning that it doesn't help you, physically, then you shouldn't fast. You're basically off the hook with that. It's not some sort of punishment either. Fasting is entirely a spiritual choice and a spiritual act. It's one that's supposed to humble the person who is doing the fasting. It allows somebody to make deep connections between her body, her mind, and her spirit. So fasting is to help us appreciate the food that's provided to us, but also how our body processes that food. So also during this nativity fast, Christians in the East are encouraged to give of themselves to others. Now sometimes that means they give money, sure, but other times it means that they give time. So people during this 40 days will commit to a certain project that they don't do the rest of the year, and that's something out of service to another person. And also, one last thing, I've talked a little bit about some other traditions, but we did mention, actually, Connie mentioned Ramadan. So I want you to just sort of think and to draw these parallels, right? We think about Western Christianities, as being sort of what everybody else does, but it's not true. So let's make a clear separation between what we do in the West and what happens in the East. Christians in the East look a lot more like Muslims in many ways, and even Jewish folk in the East. So their fasting and their holidays and how they observe things look quite similar, and they actually have similar calendars too. So let's keep that in mind. I bring this up because I think that our U.S. version of what we call Advent, right, or the arrival, or the coming, has become more and more of like a race to the end, right? It really has. And we often focus less and less on these spiritual observances because it's hard. I admit it, it's really hard. It's hard for me too. I'm not going to spend a lot of time focusing on why, because again, we can do that forever. You can make your own conclusions based on observation. But I do hope that today, and all during Advent, leading up to Christmas Eve, that we'll be able to provide you with some opportunities that you can take with you, take home with you. Both spiritual opportunities, learning opportunities, and service opportunities. So that Advent is more than just like showing up, lighting some candles and being like Christmas carols a little bit, and then Christmas Eve and the presents, and then it's all over, right? All of a sudden, pretty much. But there can be a time for you to latch on to something. Maybe something that will help you in your own spiritual practices. Because after all, if you observe any of these spiritual or religious seasons, if you do any fasting or prayer or service, it's supposed to make you a better person. That's what this is about. Otherwise, what's the point, right? So it's not about just a tradition or some obligation to do these things. It's about improving your own spiritual health and who you are as a person. So I invite you to that. And that being said, I want to say that utilizing this pre-Advent focus, I hope will help us to see that there are symbols of Advent that we use a lot of times, and we sort of run over them. Of course, one symbol is candles, right? And starting next week, we'll start to light Advent candles. Now, we light candles every week, and I think we take it for granted sometimes, right? We take it for granted that this light and these candles, like the light of Diwali there, represent something really significant in our faith and our spiritual traditions. It represents light, but not just the actual physical light, but the light that lives inside our own humanity and in God. So Advent is sometimes called the season of light, and it shouldn't be a surprise, because during this time of year, because of the change in the season, a lot of other traditions as well focus on light. We mentioned this past Tuesday, we were at the Hindu temple in Chalfont, and though Diwali was coming to an end, there was, again, this festival that we were fortunate enough to observe, and Diwali, or Deepavali, is called the Festival of Lights. And oftentimes in the northern hemisphere, of course where we live, it's celebrated this time of year, but in the spring, it's celebrated in the southern hemisphere, so you can see how that changes. The interesting thing about Diwali, which I think a lot of people don't know, is that, again, a lot of different traditions can participate. It's not just Hindus. In fact, mostly in India, you'll see like Sikhs and Jains and Buddhists and Hindus and even Christians together in a temple observing this feast and this celebration. But the festival that we were able to see, which I didn't get a lot of info before because my friend who tells me these things wasn't there until after he sent me some stuff, so here's a little bit more. So some of you who were there now, there's a little bit more info about what we were actually experiencing. So it's called the Skanda Shashti Festival, and it's from the southern part of India. Those of you who remember the church, St. Thomas, who bought our previous building, is from Kerala, which is also from southern India, right? And Kerala is where a lot of the Christians are concentrated, and in Tamil, we have a different concentration of a different type of Hinduism practice. So this is a 6-day festival, and in Hinduism, 6 is a really important number. I mentioned 40 for Christians, it's really important. 6 is very important. For Hindus, 6 is a number that represents God. So keep that in mind, 6 represents God. So this festival is all about light. It's all about light overcoming evil, overcoming despair. And it's celebrated with this reenactment of these scripture stories, which is what Jacqueline was referring to. You know, Malik and I carrying these things around. They have different heads, like one's a lion, one's an elephant, blah, blah, blah. I'll show you some pictures in a second. And it represents this struggle, not really a physical struggle, like we saw weapons and we're like, ooh, that's a little violent. But actually, it's not real. Those weapons represent struggle in your mind and in your spiritual nature. So it's the process of enlightenment. In John chapter 1, we get this great narrative, right? This great story, which we love to read every Christmas in Advent. It talks about the Word, right? The Logos, coming into the world, being truth, being light that enlightens all people. So it's this idea that there is this enlightenment in your mind that also emits light out of yourself, out of your own mind. So they'll say a 6-part prayer, which we experienced when we were there. Back to number 6. They'll say a 6-part prayer during this festival and observation. They have pujas, which is basically, we would call puja like a ritual, right? So communion for us is a puja. So for them, it's, you know, like a religious or spiritual ritual. So one last thing I want to say is a lot of times we misunderstand particular traditions. And so I think it's important for us as Christians to talk to other people about our faith, to share, you know, sort of the misconceptions maybe that people have about us. So I want to share quickly with you what my Hindu friends like for me to say to other Christians, which is that a lot of times people think Hindus are polytheistic, right? Or that they worship many gods and even statues, that they're idol worshippers. Because as Angela was mentioning, they have various statues of these deities in their temples. But it's really not the case. In fact, Hindus do not worship a stone or metal or even these, you know, statues that are so ornate and cool looking. They worship God through the image. So a good illustration that is in a recent Hindu publication puts it this way. So it's like, for them, worship is likened to having a telephone conversation long distance. So you have your cell phone, right? And you're calling a family member in another state or another country, right? Now, are you talking to the phone? Are you really talking to the phone? No, you're talking to the person, right? But you can't talk to the person without the phone. Am I right about this? So every time I Skype with Maria, I'm not talking to my computer. I'm really talking to her, right? So that's how they equate their worship, is they have these symbols and they have these other things in their temples to allow them to worship through those mediums. All right, just to give you a sense of that. All right, so the focus, again, I say, for them was on this representation of God called Skanda. And this God is kind of cool with, like, again, six faces, so there's a number again, and 12 arms. Wow, who doesn't want 12 arms, right? I don't like 12 arms. And Skanda is the commander of the army of light. Sounds very familiar to Christians, doesn't it? So Skanda is the commander of the army of light, and a healer, and a guide towards the light, and is known to Hindus as the one who has childlike love and compassion for all people. So they do lots of different things. Now, Caroline mentioned the bathing of the small statue that's called Maruda, which is another name for Skanda. It's pretty cool. They pour milk and yogurt and honey and sandal paste and all this. So I want to show you just a few pictures. This is not actually from the temple where we were because we're not allowed to take pictures, but this is from another temple. So there's Muruga, or Skanda, and it's really ornate. So like when we were there, they had this like little thing they were holding in front of like a curtain, so you couldn't see what he was doing preparing it. So they adorn it with all these flowers and stuff. And then there you see one of the priests pouring substances over it. It's pretty wild. It takes a while, right? How long do you think it was? Like 10 minutes at least? Right?
Oh, at least, yeah.
And then they're like pouring it over, and then they like wash it off, and then it's like totally wash it off. The next one. This shows you what Malik and I were kind of doing. Now these are really awesome. They weren't like that big, but you can see people carrying these different representations. So each head represents a different part of the struggle that's Skanda goes through to overcome evil with light. So you see the elephant and the weird looking dude with the mustache. Kind of looks like Mario Brothers. So anyway, that gives you a sense of sort of the color and everything in this tradition. It was a really a fun and meaningful experience. And what these experiences do for me is they remind me in my own faith tradition of Christianity how we also have sacred stories that are colorful and vibrant and weird and interesting and deep and meaningful, and there are symbols and sounds and smells and visuals and hand-on participation kind of things that we can and should do, just like Hindus and other traditions. And I hope that this season of Advent will do that. I think we need to experience things more than just sort of talk about it and see words and read the same things again and again. Because it's one thing to go through the motions, isn't it? I mean, light some candles each week and be like, hey, home, be peace, all right. And we sing some carols. Like, I was telling the music group, I'm like, please, can we not sing A Little Town of Bethlehem like 5 times? I mean, I can do like 1 or 2 verses and then I'm done for the season, right? There's some hymns, I'm sure you haven't seen, the carols you're like, please. Because you go to the mall, right, and you hear some of them in the elevator or whatever, so. But it's one thing to go through the motions and do all that stuff, but it's another thing entirely, I think, to view these different seasons of the year as opportunities for you to be enlightened, for you to grow as a person. All ages of people. It's an opportunity. See, as Christians, when we observe the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to observe the light in us, even if we think it's not there. That's the whole point of it, because Jesus broke through the darkness we feel is in us. And it's an opportunity for us to see light in others. Goodness gracious, right now, our world needs that. Don't you think? I mean, just having this conversation with somebody yesterday about, lots of things and the Syrian refugees, and I'll mention to you later on in our announcements time about what we can do as a congregation. But there's just so much going on right now. And I think it's needed, don't you think, for us to see light in other people? Because there is light, and there is good stuff happening in our world, and even in our own families, in our communities. So I think this time of year is an opportunity for us to say, yes, light does overcome evil. Even when all this stuff is going on, even when I'm stressed out, and I don't know what I'm going to buy this dude for Christmas because he has everything, or he wants toys and I'm not buying him toys again, that's my dad. He wants a helicopter every year. I don't know why. It's weird. Like the little toy on the right. But it's a moment, it's an opportunity for us to say, yes, light overcomes evil. And even the despair, and even the apathy that sometimes we feel. So our stories are colorful and meaningful and possible for us to embrace if we decide to embrace them and ourselves as we are. So this Jesus, this Yeshua, this person that many people call Lord or teacher or rabbi or friend or healer or prophet, spiritual leader or pilot, king, some people call him king, can be really tempting for us in our context to behave just like Pilate in the story, another great story like that. To behave just like Pilate. To only think and talk about Jesus in the ways that others tell us to, or in the ways that we were raised to, or in the traditions that sort of we just methodically do. It's so tempting to just do that every Advent, isn't it? To limit our perspectives to just one thing. But I ask the question, why? Why does your Advent have to look the same? It doesn't. Why does your Christmas and observation of this important holiday and tradition, why does it have to look the same for you? It doesn't. So I want you to consider this question. Will you choose to believe in something just because someone or something tells you to? Or this season, will you ask questions on your own? Challenging questions. Will you look for that light on your own journey? Come up with your own conclusions as to how you will be light for others. In the end, I like Pilate's question. The best question he asked was, what is truth? It's a real honest question. After all the stuff of like political maneuvering and stuff, are you a king or are you king of the Jews, blah, 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 blah. Finally he gets to it. What is truth? Really, Jesus, what is truth, right? That is the right question to ask. And one of the answers we get in the story that we will read all through Advent is that truth is logos. And logos is light. And this light is not only offered, but it is available to all of us. So give yourself a head start. Start now. Start now. Wherever you are. Start seeking this truth, this light, right now in your life. And start looking for this light in others. And look for this light in God. So this is our moment when we get to share opportunities to pray for those in our communities and even around the world. We offer prayers of healing or comfort or support for those in need. So this is wide open for you. So what would you like to share? Yes.
Well, Juliet has a little cold, and I'm just hoping that she gets better soon.
Yes, prayers that Juliet feels better. Yeah, we miss Juliet. Is she crabby when she's sick? A little bit. Yeah.
Someone in my class named Elena, she has muscular sclerosis, and she has to have crutches, and she can't walk without them. So prayers for her.
Prayers for Elena. Yep.
As I mentioned earlier, just along the lines of doors closing, just prayers for the right doors to open for Jimmy for schooling, that if we need extended care and the program he's in now, that insurance would say yes. If there's a gap between, that the school district would help us find a placement for him to go and to be comfortable and thrive.
Prayers of wisdom for that decision, also just prayers of patience as you wait for the right opportunity to come for Jimmy. Yeah.
Prayers for the Weiler family who's not here. Warminster to Doylestown area. I was able to help them a little bit. And other people were there. It was good. But they do need some support there. So hopefully they find themselves peace in their new home. And it looks like they're on their way to seeing that peace. It was good.
Prayers for you. Prayers for your back after helping them move in.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue.
That's right.
And James.
And you're helping too. Yes, Anastasia.
Prayers for all people that are going through losses, like the Forlinis, and then my stepmother-in-law, her friend that was staying with her passed away too. So it's just hard, especially in the holidays.
Very good point. Prayers for everyone who's mourning the loss of a loved one, particularly in the season that's coming. As we gather, it's really important to keep that in mind. People are going through. Jean.
Pray for everybody who works retail this time of year. I work seasonally at Sonoma at Willow Grove, and between that and my other job, the only day I'm going to have office Thanksgiving until Christmas. We work 7 days a week, so
Yes.
I need energy, and I pray for other people that are in the same situation and working later hours with people. Just pray for energy and patience.
Very well said. I mean, we forget how important it is to treat other people well. And a lot of these people who work in retail and this busy season, they don't get treated well very often. So sometimes a smile or even just, being nice helps big time. Absolutely. I saw that at this village on Friday. It was a grand illumination. I don't even know how many people were there, but you just see like the tension, as the crowds mount and people are stressed out and everything. No amount of ho-ho-ho can solve that. So, it's good to pay it forward. Yes?
First, she could find a good school for me.
That's right. Find a good school.
And make sure I don't get kicked out of it.
That's right. You can find a place where you can stay. You feel good. That's right. Yes?
Also, a girl, Sammy, my friend, in her class, one of her friends has leukemia. So prayers for her too.
Prayers for Sammy's friend?
Sammy's friend.
Sammy. All right, friends, I'll begin the prayer and I'll leave a moment for you if you wish to speak names of people in your lives you'd like to lift up for healing and support. Let's be in a spirit of prayer together. God, we admit that sometimes we don't see light within ourselves. It's there, but maybe it's sort of just a flicker. And sometimes we don't nurture that light. We admit it. So help us, God, to start with that. To be reminded that even a small flame within ourselves matters. And that flame can help others. Our light can certainly help others. And God, for our world, we pray, we lift up to you those in Syria, in countries like Lebanon, in Nigeria, those who are just struggling to see any light in their situations. And for the refugees who are already here in Allentown and in Northeast Philly, and those who will be here a year and a half in Pennsylvania, may they find light in this journey that is really, really difficult. And may we see light in them and look past all the political maneuvering and the questions that don't matter, and to really ask the right questions, which is, how can we help you? How can we be light for you? As a congregation, God, too, help us to understand that we can make an impact in this community, that we can be seen as a light, a place where people can feel welcome and accepted, and a place that reaches out with hands and feet to help the community. So may we find ways to be light as a congregation. And now, God, we lift up to you names of people in our lives and in the world, people who are in need of healing and support. In his names we speak to you. All this we ask through the giver of light. Amen. So friends, we have a lot of things coming up, and I'm not going to read all this because it's a lot. I'm just going to say one thing. Do me a favor, and actually all of us a favor. We are really trying to keep things updated on our webpage and Facebook and etc. And Jean does a good job with emails and stuff. So please do check the webpage. We do have a lot of things coming up during this season, opportunities for you. I know a lot of you, thank you for those of you who are sort of involved in these things and have gotten that information to me. If you haven't gotten particular information to me or to Jean, please do so as soon as you can, because we're going to be putting together sort of a, I guess we'll call it like an Advent communication that sort of has from now until the end of the year what's going on, so that you can plan accordingly and get involved, most importantly. So we have a couple things that I'll just mention, and then I'll let some of you say other things that maybe you're leading or involved with. Again, next week is the first Sunday in Advent, so please remember that. We also have today, right after worship, a real sort of touch-base meeting with our space search team as we continue to sort of look at different opportunities for us as a congregation finding a new space. Then at 3 p.m. we have our National Youth Event Gathering at St. John's UCC in Ransdale. So I know we have to be out here by 1:30 anyway, so there should be plenty of time for some of you to get some lunch or whatever you need to do before that. And then, just wanted to say, on the 6th of December, and I'll let Jim add a little bit to it, but we're going to have what we're going to call Gifts Sunday and our congregational meeting. And basically what that is officially as a congregation, we have to approve our budget for 2016, and that involves some of you and some of the ministries that you do. So Jim and our finance team has been working on that. We do have a treasurer, and we're finalizing the contract, but it's done. So Kathy will also be helping us with that, and at some point we'll be introducing Kathy to you. But the 6th of December is important, so if you can be here, it will be a time in which you'll be able to see sort of where we are financially. I know it sounds really boring, but it's important because this is your congregation, so you can see where we are financially, you can ask questions about stuff, and then we'll vote on the budget for 2016. Want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just sent out letters to everybody. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about the letter we sent out, just let us know. And thanks for sending back some of the pledge cards. If you choose to pledge, you don't have to pledge through that way. You can pledge online, other ways to do it. So that's one way to do it, but thank you.
And if you have any questions about budget, we're transparent here, so we will try to answer your questions as best we can. Again, we'll be in this transition with Kathy. She's going to help us a lot, but right now it's going to be sort of a process of us for teaching her, what we've done and passing that on. But she's already been a big help, so I think that will be good. Manna on Main, any updates?
Well, Manna on Main gives us the opportunity to serve in the soup kitchen on Saturdays, and their sheets are up on the table. We have times for January 30th, February 13th, March 5th, and so thank you to all that have been doing that, and we would love to see other people help us out. It's a good time, so please see me or just sign up on the sheets.
I mean, you get to wear a hairnet. Like you forget your hat, you get to wear a hairnet.
And Manna, as we have done in the past, we are also collecting for the kids at Manna. Next week I will have a basket up, so they're collecting books for teens and youth, coloring books and crayons, diapers and baby wipes, crib sheets, scarves, hats, and gloves. So any of those items would be very, very welcome, and I'll have the basket up for you, and we'll collect for 2 weeks. We have to get it in by the 8th.
Thanks. Also, Home for the Holidays is on December 25th. Anything you want to?
Yeah, we'll be meeting next week right after the service for a brief time for some organizational stuff.
So if you want to help out on Christmas Day, or even prior to that, to sort of prep for it, next Sunday after worship, there'll be meeting for that. There is a Red Cross blood drive here on December the 21st for those of you who would like to give blood from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's December the 21st. I see a hand. Something else?
I was just wondering, where are we celebrating Christmas Eve?
Here, we'll be here.
Oh, we are?
5:30 and 7:30. We have a 5:30 children's service with story and all that, and then 7:30, children and youth and adults and big kids and small kids and medium-sized kids. So we'll be here. Yes. G. Yes.
I just got an email this week that again this Christmas we're going to collect for Christ Home for Children. So you should have gotten that email that has the list attached. All kinds of stuff, anything from measuring cups to bath rugs to dresses and bikes, So you can go ahead and take a look at that. Should be in your email. If you need another copy, let me know.
And
that'll be through the 6th, through December 6th.
and related to both of those things, to the manna and to Christ Home for Children. So it's going to be all in one thing. So we'll figure it out and give that to you so you can send that out to people so that they know, right, here's the list for this group and here's the list for this group, so people know what to do, so they're not confused about it. And then back to the whole Syrian refugees thing. So I'm probably going to be going to a meeting in Philadelphia. It's at Al-Aqsa Mosque, where some of you remember we did the Interfaith Peace Walk. They're part of this consortium of Christians and Muslims and others who are supporting Syrian refugees in Pennsylvania. So here's what I know. It won't be a year or until a year and a half from now that the refugees will be coming to Pennsylvania, right? So for those of you who are interested in hosting, I'll just tell you this. They're not really looking for suburban hosts. They're going to be placing people where there are Syrian communities already. It's just better for them. And so in Allentown is one of the major areas, and then in Northeast Philadelphia. So they're not necessarily looking for people to house, but they are looking for furniture drives. So we don't have to do it now, because what I was told is that this could be an ongoing project, which is great, because that way, we're not pressed like right after Christmas to do this. But I think it'd be great for us to do a furniture drive for the next year. And that will really be the biggest help. That is really, really what they need as this influx of people come into our community. So if you have more questions about that, let me know. If any of you are ever interested in attending one of these meetings, please let me know. Our partners are Ivy Land Preds, and they're part of this consortium as well. So if you'd like to go, please let me know. It's a way that we can help those who are coming in. Any other announcements I missed? There's a lot.
That's one thing, as we've helped the Weilers move, anybody else that needs help, please let me know. We're trying to continue to organize things for people that in our congregation and friends other than just the congregation to give help when they need it. Some people don't know we have some skills amongst us. Some people may think we don't, but we do try to do that as best we could. So we are here for you.
Yes, thank you.
Some people asked how they could help out for fellowship time, and I'm kind of short on supplies, and here's kind of what I need. Silverware, napkins, small plates, small cups, cold cups. I have enough hot. So if anybody cares to bring any of those in, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Silverware, napkins.
Yeah, it's all right here.
Cold cups and small. You got a little display. That's just perfect. Thank you, man. Wonderful. All right, friends. This is your opportunity as you feel called. If you want to give today, you may do so to the ministry of UCC Warminster, or as I've mentioned before, you can give online if that's easy for you. You like me, and you don't ever carry cash. But even if today you've come just to experience our worship, we're glad that you're with us. Bring your gifts as you have brought them this morning.
Wish we could live forever, melt into the sun, melt into the sun. Time is gonna change you, once it gets you on the run, get you on the run. There will be light. There will be a light. There will be a light. There will be a light. I've been running ever since I was a child. Some call it free, and some call it fire. There will be light. There will be a Where will you see light in other people, and where will you be light for other people? May your Thanksgiving be amazing and wonderful as you connect with other people, but may that light lead you to next Sunday. Whether you're able to join us here or not, we will be giving you opportunities to take home with you. So go from this place, and may the light of Christ, may the light of your Creator, and may the light of the Holy Spirit be in you and just shine through the world. Amen.
As the light goes, so do we. Join us for fellowship.